Joining us once again on the show to talk about any updates on that situation is Rachel Kohl. She's a professor and the director of the Workers' Rights Clinic at the University of Michigan Law School, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Rachel, thank you for being with us again today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So previously, the Unemployment Insurance Agency, the UIA, had set forth a goal that by July 4th, they were going to have all backlogged cases from March through the end of May to be updated and be cleared. Is that the case? Did that end up happening, or was that too lofty of a goal?
So I don't have exact data if they actually were able to do that. We have a couple of people that we've had with like some lingering issues that they weren't able to actually get filed in time. So they should probably be in that category. But we've been able to work with the agency and send some cases over that we've seen issues for, and the agency quickly resolves them. So they're doing their best with the limited staff that they have and the very large uptick in claims that they have to process.
Rachel, as this has gone on, and in particular with the fraud issue that had come up, the UIA had put a specific number of staffers on that initially. I believe it was in the low hundreds, and then they almost doubled that staff shortly after realizing that they didn't have nearly enough people working on these hundreds of thousands of claims. Since that new staff has been trained, have you noticed that the people that you work with or people that you're hearing stories from about their experiences with the UIA are having a little bit easier of a time, still a difficult time, or no change at all in at least getting some information about the status of their unemployment claim?
So as far as identity verification goes, we've seen a lot fewer calls on that issue since for the last couple of weeks. So I think that the agency has been able to verify a majority of the people that they flagged for this issue, and they did that by, like you said, really doubling down and getting more people on the phones to verify these identities to make sure that these are proper claims. That said, I don't have more information on how well the agency is doing there and how well the state's task force is doing in making sure that who was actually flagged was flagged. They haven't really given us any data on that at all yet.
Rachel Kohl with us. She's the director of the Workers' Rights Clinic at the University of Michigan Law School with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Rachel, the state hired an accounting firm to help investigate the unemployment fraud and help the state of Michigan and the UIA's systems work through these cases a little bit more effectively, or a little bit more efficiently at least. Can you give us a little more details from what you know on what role they're going to play in helping the Unemployment Insurance Agency, and any sort of forecast on how that may help the people of Michigan who are still waiting for their claims or waiting for information to get their status check?
Yeah, so this was just announced yesterday that they've hired, I think Deloitte is the company,
Yes.
And they are going to be involved in the identity theft issues, and I think they're going to look at some programming issues because, as we've discussed in the past, MIDAS, the agency's computer program, has been fraught with issues since its implementation in 2013. In 2013, between 2013 and 2015, it wrongly charged up to 60,000 determinations of fraud for 46,000 people of Michigan at a 93% error rate, meaning that it charged people with fraud, this computer system, without any human oversight. And these people had to pay back all their benefits times 4 plus interest. So some people are, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90,000, upwards of $100,000 that they had to pay back. And this is the same system that they use now. They just have humans that are supposed to look at it. And beyond the false fraud issues that happened from 2013 to 2015 with this system, the system has also been extremely over-programmed to flag any possible issues, sometimes even when there should not even be issues. These people are eligible and qualified under our statute. And that's something that I'm still seeing happen now, but it's been an issue since 2013.
Shifting away from the unemployment benefits, can you talk a little bit about employee rights as they head back to work during this pandemic? If they test negative, how long do they have to be out? Do they have to use their sick time? There are so many questions around this. And can they sue their employer if they get sick, if the employer wasn't taking recommended precautions?
So my best advice for any worker out there is to try to work with your employer with whatever situation you have. because this is uncharted water for both workers and employers. And everyone's trying to do their best in a situation that is not ideal for anybody. That said, you deserve to work in a place that's safe. And you also, if you are sick, you shouldn't go to work. And your employer should understand that. So if you do think that some law has been violated, I encourage you to seek out an employment law firm and seek a consultation with them. But jumping right to a lawsuit is not always the best call. Usually you can work these things out, and so you don't lose your job, so that you don't alienate your relationship with a place that, if you have enjoyed working there, you might want to continue working there. But also you want to make sure that your employers are required to make sure that you're safe, and they have to abide by certain basic protections. And if you have concerns with that, there's reporting mechanisms with MIOSHA, which is the Michigan Occupational Safety Group, the State Department, and you can file complaints there as well.
So many facets to this going forward, and as you said, uncharted water that we're going into. What would you say to the employers about how they should handle this so that they can contain it? Because at the end of the day, they still have to run a business as well, correct?
Right. Well, I encourage employers to really look at the Workshare program. So this is a program that employers can sign up for that will help both to ensure that, because a lot of employers aren't bringing people back at the same capacity as they had before. So they're cutting people's hours, and they need to in order to preserve their business. But there is a Workshare program that allows for claimants or employees to be able to kind of make up that offset amount by being a part of this Workshare program that the employer signs up for. If they are reduced 50% in their hours, they would get 50% of the weekly unemployment benefits in addition to their wages. And employers get to retain their staff, which is that's a great asset for employers. You don't have to train people, you don't have to hire new people, you don't have to put in any resources or money into trying to find and hire new people. And so this also is encouraging for claimants too, because then they can work and make up the difference, even though they have been cut in their hours.
Rachel Kohl with us. She is the director of the Workers' Rights Clinic at the University of Michigan Law School. And Rachel, on top of that, how do people get involved with the Workshare program? How do employers find more information so that they can bring in these workers, and how do workers find more information so they can sign up if they are claimants looking for work, so that while they're waiting for any reply from the Unemployment Insurance Agency?
So there's a lot of information about Workshare on the agency's website for employers, and there's also information you can sign up for it through the employer's MyWAM account. And you'll have to set up a program for which employees that you have to cut hours for, and you'll have to set that up. But the agency will work with you to try to make that happen, because this is really a win-win-win situation for everybody, because the employers get to retain their workforce, the employees get to have wages and money that make up for their lost wages, and right now for the CARES Act, through the end of the year, all Workshare program is coming from the federal government for funding rather than the state's trust fund. So this will help Michigan's state budget as well. So the agency is encouraged to try to help employers set up these programs. So if you are trying to set up a program, there's also an employer ombudsman number that you can call. I know that there's also there is going to be some lag time between when the agency can pick up that call, but there is a contact number there, and they will get back to you because they want employers to sign up for this program.
Rachel, the federal unemployment benefits are set to expire soon. That would take away $600 a week in additional benefits for unemployed people in the state of Michigan and all throughout the country. Any talks in the state of Michigan that you've been hearing about helping to bridge that gap a little bit and maybe increase the low-end limit that people are going to be able to make off of unemployment from the state level in case the federal unemployment benefits do not get extended in any sort of way?
Well, and so that's a really interesting point. The reason why we even needed that extra $600 a week is because Michigan's weekly benefit amount, the max is $362. That's been the max since 2002. So we've basically been at the same maximum that you could get from unemployment for almost 20 years. And in 2002, when 362 was the increased number, that was about 58% of the average weekly wage in the state. Now 362 is 35% of the average weekly wage of the state. So the $600 was meant to try to help people be able to bridge that gap. Because there's other states like Michigan that haven't increased their weekly benefit amount in so many years. There is, I know, a House bill and I believe a corresponding Senate bill in Michigan's legislature that asked to increase the weekly benefit amount. For context, Michigan's really low with a 362. Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, all of these states have a much higher weekly benefit amount off the get-go, over 500.
Rachel, anything? Oh, please continue.
No, dollars per week. That's all I was
Okay.
saying. $500 per week.
All right, Rachel, anything else that you'd like to touch on today, or any other important information our audience should know about unemployment, about the situation with the unemployment insurance agency's backlog of cases that we should know about before we let you go?
So there were some new questions that got released for people filing for the PUA. And I know that there's been some confusion with those. The agency tried to send, or they did send out an email trying to explain what these questions were asking and how you should answer. It's hard to do that based on because every case is a case-by-case basis. But do your best in answering those questions. If you are not sure how you were supposed to answer those questions, answer them to the best of your ability and then put a message in your MyWham account explaining why you answered it that way and why you answered yes or no, and if you are concerned about that at all.
Rachel, thank you very, very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
We appreciate it. Rachel Kohl, the director of the Workers' Rights Clinic at the University of Michigan, with us on the Oakland County MegaCast.